Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brad, and welcome back to Screamin' Pirate EDC. Today, we have a plunder or plank. Now, if you haven't been here before, plunder or planks are basically my final review / decision on a knife. Am I going to plunder that knife and take it on adventures, or is it going to walk the plank and get out of the collection? So, before we get into the knife for today, let's have a little bit of consistency. What's in my pocket today? So to start things out, I have the Vera Form Minimalist Wallet, and this is with the Tempest Fugette coin from Yates Knife and Tool. Very cool wallet, very small, easily holds 4 cards. Very, very good stuff, guys, especially for the price. Next, the pry is the Atlas pry from Cerberus Knives, and this is the Nautilus pin from Tactile Turn. Love both of these. They work brilliantly. The 3V on the Atlas is just phenomenal, and the fidget factor on the Nautilus is, well, through the roof. All right, guys, we have those. And then last, the Hank is going to be the Middle Earth Map Hank from Renegade EDC. These are available right now in his store. Go get one. I can't say enough good things about these. Go now. All right, guys. Well, that's what's in my pockets. So what knife are we looking at today? It's going to be the Les George VECP. Now, this particular knife I got at Blade Show. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. At Blade Show, the first day, I was kind of done picking up all my must-haves. I was thinking about a VECP, but I wasn't 100%. And I went, you know what? I'm like 3/4 of the way through day one. Let's just go over to Les's booth and just see what he has. Because I knew that he had the two-tone black blades. And I was like, hey, he may have one. Why not check him out? Because, guys, he never does coated blades. Ever. And tantos are as rare as the coated, but the coated even more so. So I walk over and I went, oh, hi, Les. I'm, Screamin' Pirate. And we've talked a few times on Instagram. I love your work. And I was like, hey, do you have any of the two-tone tantos? And he goes, you're lucky. I held one back. The rest of them are gone. And he pulls this bad boy out. And he holds it up and shows it to me on the table next to everything else he had. And everything else he had was flippers and no two-tone and drop points. Now, while those are great, you don't see this configuration. You just don't. And this laser pattern, you also don't see very often. But yeah, to have a thumb stud tanto two-tone black, it's just, I personally, guys, I have never seen another one. If you have, let me know, because I've just never seen another one. Les stood there and just grinned at me as I debated this knife. And I was like, all right, how much? And he goes, 500. And I'm thinking, oh man, 500. These are like, 425, 450 new. And I looked at him and he goes, well, you got to figure, the black blade was supposed to be a whole black blade, and I hand ground the flats with the black off. And I do all that lasering in-house, and I don't do that pattern that much. And I went, okay. I was sold, guys. It was very cool to be able to talk to Les about this knife and just kind of like really get to know the man behind this, kind of iconic knife in my opinion. So, guys, let's go ahead, head down to the tabletop, and are we going to keep this one in the collection or not? All right, guys, we are top down. So let's take a slightly closer look at this Les George. Let me bring him up for you guys. So I really want you to take a look at that two-tone blade. So it's satin up to this point, and then this on the swedge and the bottom and the tip out here are all black. It's kind of cool, guys. So is the hardware, the back spacers, yeah, very cool stuff. Yep, very, very nice. But I wanted you guys to get a nice, really close look at this. Well, guys, let's go ahead and do a few size comparisons, and then we'll do a little bit of specs, and then we'll have a conclusion here for you guys. So up first, I think the most logical one to compare here is going to be a knife by the exact same maker, and he designed the ProTech Rockeye. Now, if you can't see the similarities between these two knives, I can't help you. You need to stare at the screen for a bit, guys. They're literally the same knife, but one's an auto and made by ProTech and one's made by Les George. Those are your differences. They feel the same in hand. They look very similar. One's a drop point versus Tanto, obviously, but super similar. Super similar. Next, we have a knife that I think is massively close in both price and kind of styling, in my personal opinion. This is the Hinder XM18. Now, these are roughly the same price. New, you're looking at around $425, $450 for both of these, depending on configurations, what you get, etc. Also very similar in overall size. Your main difference here, guys, is going to be your thickness. You are definitely thicker with your XM18. Definitely thicker. There you go, guys. All right, so next we have another, what I consider American classic at this point. This is the Spartan Harsey. Now this is the full-side Harsey because the 3.25 is significantly smaller. Both these are running on phosphor bronze washers. Yeah, guys, they're massively similar knives. Obviously, you have a 4-inch blade on the Harsey and you have a 3.5 on the VECP. Oh, and as far as smoothness factor, guys, I want you to see this. Harsey, even with that 4-inch blade, dropping a wiggle. VECP, if you'll focus up. Yeah, very similar, guys. And then lastly, a knife I think is easily the most comparable is going to be the Chris Reeve Large Sebenza. Now, these are eerily similar in dimensions and how they feel, and even, I mean, obviously most phosphor bronze frame lock knives are going to look like a Sebenza, but both of these are American made, and you know, they're kind of running very similar. So I wanted you guys to see a rough size comparison there. Let me take this Sebenza off the mat and let's do a few sizes. So I typically like weight first because that's me, because I can. Yes, hello. Hey. 5.19. Now, to give you guys an understanding of 5.19, yeah, it's heavy, but it is titanium. XM18, 5.44. Sebenza, 4.6, slightly lighter. You won't notice it in your pocket. Harsey, 6.08, so almost an ounce heavier. But yeah, it's right around the same as all of these other American-made, you know, frame lock folders, so don't worry too much about that weight. So let's take him off the table, and let's get some sizes. So zeroed out to the tip. There you go, guys. 3.5, okay? Your handle, there you go, 4.5. And then let's look at thicknesses here. So about 0.48, 0.49 on your handle. Your blade thickness, come on. It's going to be about 0.16. And then what are we looking at behind the blade? 0.03. That's thin, guys. That's pretty dang thin. And it's a flat grind, not a hollow. So let me set him back down. Man, that black is a fingerprint magnet, guys. I'll tell you that right now. Well, guys, those are some good sizes. I don't mind those for an EDC knife. And considering this is comparable to a lot of other popular American frame locks in size and length and blade, there's not much to complain about here on that. Now, we have all of that out of the way. Let's talk about how I feel about this knife. I have said, if you haven't watched it, I did a review on the Rockeye. I think this is one of the best out the side autos ever made. I really do. It's super comfy. I like it a whole lot. Well, that also goes for the Les George. Because, I mean, guys, the clip is even very similar. Now, the clip on the Les George I don't like as much as the ProTech. Let me move him off mat so we have something to focus on. Hey, a little bit more ramp there, but it's all chamfered, so there's no biting. It doesn't matter. Got some gunk on that blade, guys. Something very interesting that I really like about this knife is Les George has these huge relief cutouts. So when you release this, it's just, guys, this might be the smoothest release ever on a frame lock I've felt. And the lockup's good. It's a carbonized interface. It's not, he doesn't have anything like an actual like steel-faced interface here, but typically that's what I like. But if, I mean, there's this much of a cutout, I mean, it just drops and smooth and nice. Now, do I wish it would completely drop shut and that detent would suck it in and that blade wouldn't stick up sometimes? Yes. Do I love the coating? After using it, it's okay. I mean, it's basically like a DLC coating. It hasn't worn or done anything like, as far as mar it. But, I mean, it's okay. I don't love it. I think a stone wash would do just as well here. The Tanto's all right. You're basically sharpening two blades when you have a Tanto, but I personally like the look, so it is what it is. Now, in hand, as I said, that clip kind of bites right in there for me. But guys, that's comfy. That's super comfy. I could work with this pretty much all day, and I would not fatigue at all on this knife. The last thing here is going to be your fidget factor. Now, I love the texture here too, just as an FYI. I can reverse flick it, and obviously I can use the thumb studs. I wish there was a flipper tab so I could have, multiple deployment options. That's a personal preference. I do think the detent is a touch light here. I would like a heavier detent. But overall, I think it's a comfortable knife. It goes in and out of the pocket perfectly well. I've had no issues with that. And it deploys perfectly well and it cuts. I mean, it does what a knife is supposed to do, guys. It cuts. Well, guys, you've now kind of seen my view on this knife, how I like it in hand. I've been using it. I just clean it whenever I need to. Love the XHP on this. Well, let's go ahead, head back up, and make a final decision on whether this is going to be plundered or planked. All right, guys, we are back up top. Well, we've looked at some size comparisons. I can talk today, guys. Some specs and kind of my thoughts on the knife. So, am I going to keep it? I think for right now, in my collection, the way it stands, I am going to plunder the Les George VECP. Now, the main reason behind this is I love the ergonomics, I love the way it feels in hand, and I like the action. I like the steel. I think that this is as good as any Sebenza I have ever held, period. And I know those are big words. My main gripe about the Les George, honestly, if I had to force a gripe, guys, don't love the jimping. I like jimping on the Sebenza a little bit better here. It's okay. I don't love it. Also, I wish he offered more graphics on the side, but I know he's doing a lot of this in-house. I love the graphics that you can get on a Sebenza, and I know a lot of people do. But at this point in time, I think this is going to be a plunder for Screamin' Pirate EDC. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, head down to the comment section. Do not forget, stickers are available, $1.50 a piece. I'll have a pop-up. And you know what, guys? I'll catch you on the next one.